This is Moments with Foo with James Foo Torres, better known as Foo, the show that takes you around the world to share interviews with some of the most successful and relevant people on the planet, hear their stories, and get the most important business lessons they have learned on their road to success, and get exclusive advice on how to implement their success into your life and business. Moments with Foo is brought to you by the Strategic Advisor Board and your host, Foo.
Hello and welcome to Moments with Foo. I'm your host, James Foo Torres, but you can call me Foo. It's the name of the podcast. And today I have Kingsley Ifedi. He's CPA and called the quarterback of taxes, but I'm going to let him tell you more about that. But first, Kingsley, how are you?
James, man, I'm doing well. I'm blessed. Like always. I'm always blessed, man.
I love to hear that. I feel blessed too. Things are aligning very well. Back we met over a year ago, or like about a year ago actually. And we were kind of like, oh, let's do this podcast and stuff, and now just things align perfectly now that you're doing your own podcast and cool things that you're gonna tell the audience now. So I'm happy to see you here. So let's kick it off with a quick introduction about yourself and your company.
Awesome. So I appreciate that introduction as well. So my name is Kingsley Ifedi. I'm a CPA. Some people call me the quarterback of taxes, which I'll tell a little bit about why people call me that. But I am the managing partner at the firm that I founded called Team Financials. That stands for Together Everyone Achieves More Financials. So been blessed with the opportunity to be able to run that and be able to serve so many different businesses and individual clients. As of late, we focus and really got specialized working with dentists. So just a cool story. My older brother, he's actually a dentist. He owns a dental practice. I actually helped him go through the acquisition of that dental practice, which really taught me a lot about the world of dentistry. Really showed me that, honestly, dentists are really cool. And if you can really figure it out, you can do a lot of great work as a CPA working with dentists. Because frankly, right, these are individuals that went to school for 7-8 years sometimes, right? But they never really had the financial background or understanding. So very, very highly intelligent people that, may need a push here and there when it comes financially. So when it comes to finances. So it's just been a pleasure. I've been loving to work with dentists. And yeah, so as far as why they call me the quarterback of Texas, I actually used to play Division I quarterback at North Carolina A&T, which is HBCU here in North Carolina, and also East Carolina University. So when I wasn't throwing touchdowns, even while I was in school, I was doing tax returns. So people just started calling me, you're the quarterback, but you also do taxes. You might be the quarterback of taxes. So it's definitely a pleasure in being on the show, James.
I love that because it's a good example that just because you're focusing on something, in your case with sports, doesn't mean that you cannot have your side hustle and then becomes your main hustle, right? So being able to, do that and being able to be Division I, which, it takes talent, takes so much preparation and practice, and then not having the excuse of, oh, I'm doing this, to not develop your professional side of things. Because after sports, doesn't matter, even if you don't make it to the leagues and stuff, you still need to learn how to keep that money, right? You're making money, you're making all this reputation, and now people are seeing you, so catching on this attention and all that. And I'm glad to see that you were able to finish your education. Clearly, you're a CPA, and to make it like start there and now look what you have built now to this business, with that. So
yeah, man. And kind of speaking on that, I think I was able to win a national championship as far as HBCU goes, but my biggest accomplishment was getting 2 degrees paid for while being on scholarship. I mean, I said to myself early on, in football, and you gotta be honest with yourself, right? How long can you really do this one thing? But you can always have your mind. So I just chose to really invest in that, man. So right on, man. Right on.
Amazing.
Awesome.
So give us a couple of actionable tips or advice for either business owners in general or for dentists, if you want to be more specific with the people that you serve.
Yeah, so awesome. So working with business owners, working with dentists, and even individuals, oftentimes, first things first is we want to start with the end in mind. I never want to assume as a CPA that everybody has the same goals and ambitions. My parents have a home healthcare business that they've been running for about 23 years here in Charlotte as well. It's widely successful. They do really well each year, but they're not at the position of growth right now. They're a little bit older. They're kind of phasing into retirement. They're not in a position where they're trying to grow and scale their business. They really just want to make sure that this is a business that they can pass on when they're ready to transition into retirement. On the flip side, my brother, his dental practice, right? I work with him through the acquisition, but he's in high growth mode. He's putting a lot of his dollars back into marketing, back into being seen, back into his public persona. So I never want to take, any two people and assume they have the same goals and ambitions and that they want to get to the same place. So the first thing I would say, actionable steps, is get clear on where you want to get to. Even though you may not know every single step that you need to take to get there, just understand on where you want to get. I was just listening to a pretty much mindset podcast before I hopped on the show. He said that a boat never leaves dock unless they know the destination. A boat doesn't just leave the dock and just say, well, we're just going to land somewhere. So same thing as a CPA. When I sit in front of business owners and I begin talking to them, it's like, okay, this is the industry you're in. These are the type of people you want to serve. How can I help you now from a financial perspective, right? We talk taxes, we talk accounting and books, we talk payroll, we talk advisory, making sure that we are understanding the numbers and what they're saying, because ultimately my goal here is not just to give you information, it's to give you information that helps you get to a certain destination. So I guess actionable steps. Step one, know where you want to get to. Step two, get you a professional, whether that's a CPA, whether that's someone that you trust financially, to be able to give you those keys so that you can now focus mainly on your business. And I always say, just like me, I right now, I don't have the time to go milk the cow, then go bottle the milk, and then serve that to myself. I want to outsource, or I want to delegate certain things that are just not high level activities in my life, right? Same thing with sometimes your CPA. Filing taxes, bookkeeping, those things to a business owner, those are things that are highly important, but your time may be spent best running your business and getting more clients, or getting more patients, or getting more customers. So I think those few things are the first things that I would sit down and talk to a business owner or a dental practice owner about.
I
Yeah.
love it. It's not a matter of being reactive and just, hey, like, this is what happened, let's just make sure that you're compliant and that's it. It's how can we look back to learn of what's happening, but to use it more to be proactive in project so cash flow. So then knowing like what's payrolls can look like, knowing how tax plan, and really the way that I see it, and the way that I even teach my clients that are CPAs it's not, don't position yourself as a trusted advisor rather than a number cruncher, right?
Exactly.
As somebody that is just gonna put things in there. Just position yourself as a trusted advisor and really look at the whole picture, and then have the end in mind, right? So like make sure that assess of where you are right now, then what are the goals of where you want to be, and then develop a strategic plan to pair those two. So that's what I tell to all like the accountants and tax pros that I talk to. So like you're perfectly aligned. So that's why I wanted to have you in this podcast, because I knew it's gonna be great. Oh
Awesome.
man. So what are some friction points or challenges that you've seen people have, or if you want to be specific with dentists, that you've seen commonly, that it's like you're advising them these things that you just said, but you see things getting on their way. Can you give us a couple examples of what are those friction points and challenges?
Well, I'll speak to dentists first, and then I might open it up a little bit to just business owners in general. When I work with dentists, like I said, kind of in my intro, I think dentists are one of the smartest people on earth. I mean, these are PhD doctors. But I think sometimes, speaking with dentists, they can think, hey, since I know this specialized information so much, that now translates to me knowing how to run a business. That now translates to me knowing how to talk to patients. That now translates to me knowing how to market, do these different things. So I guess the biggest pain point, or the biggest hurdle that I first have to hop over is, if we're talking about putting in a crown, or we're talking about doing a deep, if we're talking dentistry, you got me. right? But when we're talking finance and things like that, you have to be able to allow me in, so that I can now give you that direction. Just like when people go to the dentist, they trust what their professional is telling them, right? Same thing here, right? You hire a CPA, you have to trust that what they're saying is of great value to you. So I think that's really the first hurdle we kind of hop in is, okay, we want to make sure that we establish that, hey, I'm the professional here, and I want to help you get to your end goal ultimately. So, and then I would say with just business owners in general, I think sometimes they grow so quickly that they forget that tax season is coming, right? You have to plan. You have to make sure that, I have clients that come in every day, and especially the 1099 ones where they're like, hey, I made all this money, I had a great year, I made 250,000 and as a contractor, and they go to file their taxes and there's no money that they can even pay with because they've spent it all, right? Or they didn't really plan well. They didn't really know what was coming down the line. I hear this at least once a week. Oh, I made that much. I don't know where it went. Right. So we want to make sure that we are being proactive and not just waiting until April 15th to make sure that we're having these conversations. So I think with business owners in general, they can be so busy running from here to there, doing this every day is something different that they forget that, hey, right, we want to make sure that we're actually looking ahead and not just focusing on today, because there are some things coming down further down the line.
Yeah, it's like the saying says, there's only like three things that are guaranteed in life, which is death, change, and taxes. So
Right.
so no, that is coming. It's guaranteed is coming, right? So it is the biggest expense that we're all gonna have. And when you're a contractor or a business owner, that you have the chance to be able to plan ahead, so you pay the littlest amount possible, or even sometimes zero, right, by taking paper losses. So
Yeah.
it is a great way to also kind of segue into other things. It's like taxes is the biggest expense that we're gonna have, right? Start there, and then now that you start seeing, okay, let's talk about cash flow, let's talk about investment, let's talk about other stuff. And that's what I was kind of connecting to what I was saying earlier, is like, that's that holistic approach. But you gotta get in somewhere. So that's why I love that you have team taxes and you cover out of taxes, but then from there, you can help people in a more holistic way, which is ultimately what we all need. We need a holistic approach to things, not just looking at elements of the system, rather, looking at the whole system.
Yeah. I think kind of summarizing what you're saying, I think I guess to your point, mainly is focus on putting out the bleeding, right? When somebody is in trouble, you focus on the biggest pain point from the standpoint of, okay, this area, right? When we talk about taxes, is the area that's most easily to identify, because each year or each quarter they're writing out that check is painful, right? When we might be talking about cash flow and different things like that, that might be a little bit of a delayed result, but taxes is an immediate result. So we always like to start there, because I think that's the easiest thing that business owners can really understand, as we kind of talk more and open up those gates there, man.
Yeah, I completely agree, man. Like it's I love how we're so aligned. So is there any one or two takeaways you would like to leave the audience with?
Yeah. So I would say, in general, first things first, kind of like what I said earlier, make sure that you're working with a trusted professional. If you don't have a CPA, if you don't have someone that you trust financially, and you may have a great understanding of what's going on, right? But you never know what you don't know. And I think that's just true about anything. Health, what we talked about health and wealth before this. You don't know what you don't know. And I think a professional will at least give you some insight on, hey, have you thought about this, or have you explored this? And just give you an opportunity to rub minds with somebody. If I was to throw maybe one or two more out there, I would say, when it comes to the area of taxes and different things like that, is don't save $500 to now go spend $10,000, right? I see it all the time. People come into my office, hey, I TurboTax this, or I got my neighbor John to do it, and they completely screw it up. And next thing you know, IRS is knocking on their door with a $10,000, $20,000 tax bill. On top of that, interest and penalties, right? Because they're trying to save a little bit on working with a professional. And next thing you know, they're in this big hole that honestly it's going to cost a lot more at the end of the day to clean up. And then number three, kind of kind of feeding off my previous point is have that end in mind, right? As a business owner, you have a destination that you're trying to get to, and each profession, not even just your CPA, your lawyer, if whoever you're working with for marketing, all these people should be aligned, because ultimately they're there to help you get to your end goal. So I would say with those three things in mind, I think, at least give business owners enough to kind of work with and identify the areas of growth for themselves.
Love it. Great takeaways. Definitely, it's clearly you're a professional and you punch that out, those key points, and then from there, just focus on those things, and then that will open the other doors, right? Like just focus on where's the bleeding, right? Where's the biggest hole, and then plug that, and then work from there. So that's what I would say. So, now, I mean, you kind of said it here already, dentists and individuals and business owners, but what is a great connection? Sorry, like somebody who listens to this and, oh, I like Kingsley, I want to connect with somebody, I want to add value to him. What is a great connection for you, and how can people find you?
Well, I'm assuming if they're already listening to this show, then they probably love podcasts, or they probably love consuming content like this. So me and my brother, the one that's a dentist, we actually have a podcast that's speaking to generational dental wealth. It's not just for dentists. We're speaking in general, right? But there are some different things that you might be able to take away, that you may be able to take from it, no matter what industry you're in. So that's the generational dental wealth podcast, and that obviously is on all platforms. We even have a video format as well on YouTube. So we would definitely love to catch you there. And then also big on Instagram. I think it's a daily thing for me. My Instagram handle is Kingsley Ifedi. That's Kingsley, and then last name Ifedi. And then lastly would be LinkedIn. I'm on there as well. You can search me, Kingsley Ifedi. And I would love to connect with you.
Perfect. Again, like always, links are going to be in the description. So Kingsley doesn't forget to send them to me. But oh man, I just want to say thank you for coming here and have this valuable conversation for business owners in general, and a little bit of extra sauce, extra spice there for your main audience, which are the dentists, and we align very well. So I think this is a great powerful conversation for people to get into our minds, right? And why do we do and focus on the things that we do. So thank you for coming here.
Likewise, and thank you for inviting me. Trust me, I am a big fan of you. I follow you on LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, everywhere that I can catch you, man, because I'm just a fan of the content you put out, and honestly the quality and the consistency. So just keep doing it. Keep helping businesses, keep helping people, man. And I know this platform is going to continue to grow, man. So thank you.
Yeah, no, thanks for that. I mean, I'm a fan of you too. Especially with this new podcast, man. When I saw those videos, I was like, hey, dude, like we said that we're gonna do this podcast. Let's do it now. And you're like, let's do it. You got in the calendar quick, and we're here. So glad that we were able to make this happen. And hopefully one day we can do something in person, right? And record in person when we see each other again. And do something cool, man. Like, I think we're heading in a similar direction. So I have no doubt that we're gonna cross paths again.
Awesome, man. Thank you.
So this was Kingsley and Foo, and this is us signing off.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to Moments with Foo with your host, Foo. Please leave your feedback and visit strategicadvisorboard.com to get the latest and greatest business advisement on the planet. Follow us on social media for updates, and we will see you on the next episode.